A beautiful woman arrives at the airport, posing as a designated driver for a man named Mr. Hamilton. But as they drive off, they're followed by a woman on a bike. The driver makes small talk with her client, introducing herself as Brandy. He seems taken by her, so much so that he suggests they be honest with each other, at least for the short while they're together. Brandy agrees after a slight pause and casually admits she's considering pulling the car over to make out with him. As expected, he's all in, so they park in a grassy field nearby. He offers her a drink, but she sweetly declines. As he leans in, Brandy comments that he looks better than his photos. This catches Mr. Hamilton off guard, as she shouldn't know what he looks like before that day, but trusts Mr. Hamilton not to dwell on it, because he's too distracted by the woman in purple lipstick beside him. Meanwhile, the biker woman stops nearby and listens in. It's clear now that she's bugged their car. Back inside, Brandy shifts her tone. Sitting beside Mr. Hamilton, she gently asks what he's done. He's confused until she spells it out. What did he do to warrant an assassin like her? He glances down and sees the gun in her hand. Brandy tells him to answer quickly so she can give him a good death. He laughs nervously, thinking it's some kind of prank, and reaches for his phone. Brandy warns him, but when he doesn't stop, she calmly shoots the phone from his hand.
Please don't, please!
Don't beg.
That instantly gets his attention. He starts to beg, but she cuts him off. She doesn't want begging. She wants the truth. After repeated denials, he finally admits he might know why. But Brandy, looking him dead in the eye, says he doesn't. It's the same circle. Most of them don't. Mr. Hamilton tries one last move, offering everything he owns. But Brandy leans her head against the window, distant and unreadable. She looks tired, bored even, like she's done this too many times. Sensing her lapse, he lunges. But before he gets far, Brandy shoots him, clean and decisive. The biker, still listening in, hears the final shot. She takes out her earpiece and rides away. Brandy steps out and calls her manager, Duke, telling him the subject is closed.
Subject's closed.
You sound a little off, kid.
So flat and efficient, reducing the man to nothing but a subject, a case. It is clear how cold-blooded her job is. Duke checks in, sensing something off. He asks if she's okay, mentally. Brandy brushes it off with a joke about thinking of new wigs. Duke doesn't buy it, but she steers the conversation toward her next job in Boston. While they go over the details, Duke mother hens her, bombarding her with questions to be sure they are on the same page. It is clear how much he worries about her. As they talk, she removes her wig, jacket, and lipstick. She's shedding the Brandy persona, slipping into someone else. When she boards her flight, she looks clean, soft, and unrecognizable. She even uses a new name, her real name. Brandy is actually Ava, a high-level assassin. From an adorable, gifted childhood to perfect school records, sports, and honors, Ava was literally marked as most likely to succeed. But after a substance abuse problem, an accident that left 2 people dead, and time in jail, her life changed course. She joined the military, then special ops. Eventually, she began taking private contracts for a high price. It's those jobs that have brought her here, to Mr. Hamilton's car. And it very well could be argued that she did succeed, considering that she is one of the best in her line of work. But Boston? Boston is a personal journey. In Boston, Ava checks into her hotel, but not without combing through every corner first, out of habit, probably. Her line of work doesn't allow for surprise guests. Elsewhere, a man sits in a bar answering a phone call with his serial number. It's Duke giving orders to watch Ava, just in case something changes. Back at the hotel, Ava returns from a run. In her room, the news reports the suspicious death of Hawthorne, what they're calling more than just a random murder. He's also being linked to money laundering and election tampering. A package is delivered to her room, which contains a gun and some cash. She takes it in stride, then heads out to a pub where a live band is playing. Once the night winds down, Ava approaches the soloist, Jude, and offers to walk her home. Jude turns out to be her sister. The tension between them is thick. From a distance, the agent follows. Eventually, the bubble bursts. Jude lashes out, accusing Ava of disappearing for 8 years with no word. Jude admits that she preferred her back when she was drunk all the time. It stings, but Ava stays quiet. At her door, Jude softens just enough to invite Ava to the hospital the next morning. Apparently, their mother had a heart attack. This catches Ava off guard, but she just nods. The next day, she shows up at the hospital with flowers. Her mother raises an eyebrow, claims Jude exaggerated and that it wasn't that serious. She snarks at the flowers showing up without a vase. But the edge fades. They fall into their old rhythm, their usual brand of dry affection. Even in a hospital gown, her mother worries about her appearance, fixing her hair and lipstick, and trying not to make her daughters worry. She does not act like her daughter has been away for years, or like she missed her father's funeral. As they take a slow stroll, her mother brings up their father. She calls him manipulative, just like Ava. That makes Ava laugh, and they begin bantering lightly. Some real questions are asked, and some evasions are made. Ava never says too much. Later, she's on a plane again, headphones in, listening to the details of her next identity. She's to become Lady Sullivan, daughter of the general's friend, someone who grew up hearing war stories at Sunday lunch. Duke reminds her to stick to the story. This one has to look like natural causes. Soon, Ava's in Saudi Arabia, walking beside the general. He's clearly charmed already. They retreat to his room. As he lies on the bed, waiting for something romantic, Ava slips a needle between his toes. She tells him it'll be painless and done in 15 minutes. It will look like a heart attack from too much stress. But instead of leaving, she lies beside him and murmurs, maybe to both of them, that he must have done something terrible to end up with her. That moment is cut short by voices at the door. Instinct kicks in. She slits the general's throat and turns toward the noise. It's his two friends from earlier. Ava takes them out too, but not before realizing what gave her away. She called him Sullivan, which turns out to be a wrong name. Maybe Duke's mistake, or maybe not. One of the men refuses to answer her suspicion, so she finishes the job. The guards rush in next. She takes them down, smears blood on her face, and stumbles out screaming like a traumatized witness. Her acting is so good that they believe her, and even escort her out. Outside, she sets off a smoke bomb, makes her escape, but runs into more guards. However, that is of no consequence to Ava. She handles them too, then tears part of her dress into a shawl and walks off, leaving a trail of bodies behind her. By morning, she's by a river with Duke, who's holding a fishing rod like it's just another day. He admits the name slip was his fault. Ava doesn't buy it. She thinks it was intentional. A quiet push out the door. Duke doesn't deny or confirm. He just tells her that management has arranged a different fall guy for the case. Ava doesn't press. Maybe she's already decided on what she believes. Then Ava asks what the general's crime was, which gets Duke exasperated. He asks if she's been using drugs again and reminds her that her job is to close subjects, not ask questions. He warns her that he won't be able to protect her a second time and advises her to go off the grid for a while. Ava tells him she needs to return to Boston, and he responds that he already arranged some time off for her. When Ava gets to the hospital, she meets Michael, her sister's boyfriend. She tries to avoid him, but he sees her too. There's clearly some history between them, even as they walk inside with Jude. Ava tries to fix the TV for their mother, refusing Michael's help. Her mother asks her to take the couple out for a meal, using her illness to guilt them into agreeing, despite the obvious tension. Surprisingly, Ava manages to fix the TV. Later, Ava attends a group therapy session and opens up about her past. She once caught her father cheating and asked him to come clean to her mother, but instead, he preemptively told her mom that Ava was trying to blackmail him for money. Because Ava was deep in addiction at the time and had a history of stealing for drugs, so her mother believed him. Ava is still haunted by the memory of how smug he looked while her mother confronted her. She knew that if she stayed, she might have eliminated him, so she left and joined the army. She only returned after hearing about his demise. Meanwhile, Duke meets with an agent named Simon, who has a woman by his side. Simon expresses concern about Ava, given her unstable history. When Duke tries to calm him down, Simon explodes, saying one of his agents heard Ava talking to her targets again. Duke defends her, saying the Saudi Arabia job was his mistake, not hers, and reminds them that Ava is still their best operative. Simon reluctantly agrees to let her take a break. But after Duke leaves, Simon reveals to the woman, who is both his aide and his daughter, that he has always seen Ava as a liability. He confesses that the Saudi Arabia job was a setup to get her closed, but it failed. He instructs her to contact a man named Alain to finish Ava off. The daughter, who was the girl on the bike during the Hamilton job, is concerned about Duke. Simon, however, is confident Duke won't betray him. He tells her to go spend time with her half-brother, despite her apparent dislike for him. Back in Boston, Ava goes for a night jog and notices someone following her. It is Alain. He tackles her and they fight. They seem evenly matched until Ava runs off. Alain fires a shot and approaches her, but she's gone. While he looks around, Ava rises from a water fountain nearby and stabs him upward through the neck with a knife. She throws him into the fountain, washes off the blood, and slips away before the sirens arrive. The next morning, Ava meets Duke by the river, gun in hand. She suspects the company has marked her for closure, but Duke insists otherwise. He tells her the situation has been reviewed and that she's safe, for now. He claims the man who attacked her was just a random junkie looking for drug money. This strikes a nerve with Ava, and tears well up in her eyes. Duke gently asks if she wants him to stick around, but instead, she slips the gun into his pocket and tells him to check it out, saying it belonged to the attacker. Ava returns to Boston and goes about her day. She shops and later has dinner with Jude and Michael. Jude seems insecure about Ava and Michael's past, despite there being no signs of inappropriate behavior between them. She storms off, leaving Ava and Michael alone. Not the smartest move for someone worried about their chemistry, but okay. Somehow, Ava gets blamed for how Jude turned out, yet Michael says she doesn't get to just come back and try to fix things. Ava apologizes to him for leaving without notice, and he leaves her at the table too. The following morning, Ava hears a knock on her hotel room door. She wakes up, gun aimed, and heads to the door only to find out that it's Jude. She quickly hides the gun and lets Jude in. Jude is freaking out, worrying about where Michael is, and Ava remarks dryly that it's 5 a.m. When Jude tries to change her mind and leave, Ava encourages her to stay and say why she came. Jude reveals that Michael still gambles and asks Ava in half hopes that she'll know where he is. Ava says that she doesn't.
Sorry.
But that morning, Ava heads to a suspicious-looking neighborhood and finds her way to a hidden illegal gambling den. When she gets in, she says hello to the owner, Tony. Apparently, Tony had helped her at some point in the past, but was pissed because she took Michael away. Ava, however, isn't here for small talk. She just wants Michael. But Tony doesn't let him leave immediately, and soon a fight breaks out, with Ava handling them all. In a matter of seconds, she has Tony hostage, daring her minions to shoot and see who is faster.
Put in her face before you shoot me.
As she gets to the door, Tony threatens her safety, but Ava isn't bothered. She asks how much Michael owes, but Tony isn't interested in the money as much. Ava still promises to bring the 75 grand in some 36 hours to settle the score. When Ava leaves with Michael, Michael questions her fighting skills. He doesn't buy her story of having learned martial arts in rehab, demanding she tell him the truth or walk away. She walks away, asking him about the stupidity of his own gambling decision. He calls her Cakes, but she tells him that she is no longer that person.
Don't call me that. I'm not that person anymore.
He says that she'll always be Cakes to him. He then confronts her about how she disappeared for 8 years after she agreed to marry him. She apologizes, saying there were issues she had to get away from, but Michael is beyond pissed. She asks to lend a helping hand to the debt, but Michael doesn't want money from her. His alternative is a gun that Ava scoffs at. She feels so sad for him, touching his face. He tells her to stop, that he no longer belongs to her, but to her sister who he is to be married to. At this, Ava walks away with tears in her eyes. When she gets to her hotel, she takes a long look at the drinks at the bar, then takes a seat and orders a Scotch double. She tries to drink it, but changes her mind and walks away, back to her room. In another part of the country, Duke confronts Simon on his attack on Ava's life, both in Saudi and with Alain.
You set her up, you wanted her to get killed, right?
At this, Simon realizes that Duke is gone and tells his daughter to activate cleanup protocol on Alain's aliases. When she leaves, Simon explains that he wanted to spare Duke the trouble of making such a decision himself, knowing the soft spot he has for Ava. Duke nods and asks him to take back the kill order, but Simon refuses. Duke pulls out a gun, but Simon's daughter is suddenly at his side too, with a gun to Duke's head as she takes the gun from Duke. Before she can do anything though, Simon's little girl runs up to them, so her elder sister has to hide the gun. The little girl is swooped up by Duke as they chatter animatedly. Simon takes the little girl away, and Duke remarks that he will have a job for her with her crafty skills.
Gonna have a job for you with those skills.
No, he won't.
Simon stops the thought, saying that the field is no place for a lady, causing Duke to look at his older daughter. That's probably why the poor girl is stuck doing bodyguard duties. As soon as Simon's guards take the little girl away, his elder daughter goes back to their former position, gun pointed at Duke's head. In seconds, Duke tackles the gun from her hand, and she falls. Clearly, unlike Ava, she's the lady not meant for the field. Simon has to do it himself. He rushes at Duke, and they exchange blows. Duke may be old, but his skills, his movements are anything but. Simon cannot handle him alone, and guards rush in, but Duke shoots them all down in no time. The off-the-field daughter hits Duke's head with a gun and tries to shoot him, but her father stops her and commands her to leave.
No! Stop!
Now that he's had some help, he proceeds to hit Duke while he's down, but Duke doesn't stay down. Soon, he's up and fighting hard again. Unfortunately, Simon has an unfair advantage: a knife. He manages to stab Duke, which lowers his defenses and gives him a chance to stab more vital places, to kill the old man, the same man who trained him. Oblivious to all these, Ava is still back in Boston. She heads home to see her mother, who has discharged herself early. She tries to convince her to go back, but her mother is not interested. They do a little tradition of theirs where they communicate by touching wood, and Ava brings out a pack of cards for them to play. While they are playing, Ava starts to tell her mother her secret, but her mother stops her. It seems she already knows Ava is not with the United Nations as she said, but she doesn't want to know the truth. This hiding from the truth is not new to her, as she reveals that she knew who her husband was and that he had lied about Ava blackmailing him, but chose to ignore it. She admits that instead of acting like any decent mother, she was scared to be alone, so she chose fun over her child. So she says that Ava should keep her secret because she can see that whatever Ava is involved in has given her a certain strength and bravery to be a better mother than she was. Ava has tears in her eyes as her mother proclaims her pride in her before they continue their game. Meanwhile, Simon chains up a bloody and battered Duke, preparing to throw him into a lake. He tells Duke that he'll go to Boston to handle Ava himself and asks if there are any last words for her. Duke apologizes for not being able to look after her, and Simon agrees. He pulls out his phone and takes pictures of Simon's body before drowning him. He goes back to his study and calls Ava. He informs her that though she may not know him, he is Duke's first protege, and he killed Duke because of her. Ava promises to return the favor, and he relays Duke's message that he's sorry he won't be able to watch her cut out Simon's heart. Then he sends her the video of Duke's death. But Ava doesn't act impulsively. She has a thoughtful dinner before she leaves. She goes to Judy's, and when Michael says that Judy's not home, she kisses Michael, asking him to elope with her. Michael, who was responsive with the kisses, pulls away, saying that they just found out that Judy is pregnant. Ava leaves and heads straight to Tony's den. The guard tries to stop her, but he doesn't stand a chance. She walks in, taking out anyone in her path. Following a path that leads to a club, more people attack, but she handles them easily. Tony, who is in a room watching 3 people make out, hears all the commotion and comes out to an empty dance floor. She rushes at Ava, but Ava stays still and takes the punches, scoffing. She tells Tony about her offer to Michael and about the fact that she is a paid assassin, with Tony punctuating each phrase with a punch till the assassin part. She stops, and Ava tackles her and strangles her, nearly to death, before letting her go and dropping a bag of cash, warning her to stay away from her family. She goes home and brings out some small bottles of liquor that she had hidden. She does them, looking at her gun, laughing and crying at the same time. She truly is demented. She is trying to decide the position to end her own life when Simon walks in, gun in hand. But Ava doesn't give up like that. They exchange gunshots. Ava calling out his name in a sing-song voice, and Simon notices that she was drinking. He asks what Duke would say, but she doesn't answer. He moves out and they battle with their fists and legs. Ava may be demented, laughing in a fight and all, but she doesn't go down easy. She calls out to Simon and he tells her to shut up. She laughs, saying that he doesn't like her talking to her subjects. She has clearly seen him as just the next person to be closed. Unlike her other subjects, she remarks, she is aware of his own crime. He falls down on the chair, as bloodied as Ava, as they recite the Greek phrase they both learned because of Duke. They hear a whistle, and he starts to leave, promising to kill her the next time he sees her. A siren blares in the distance, and Ava's survival instinct kicks in. She opens a secret safe and takes out money, her passport, and a gun. She rushes out and redirects the guards flowing in, most likely from the gunshots. However, she doesn't go to the airport, but follows Simon instead. When Simon notices, he tries to run, but can only limp away. Ava doesn't even run after him, but walks confidently, a wild beast stalking her prey. In panic, Simon calls someone and asks for doubled security around his family, saying that the object is still open.
Security around my family on high alert. The object is still open.
He jumps off an overhead bridge to get away and gets lucky, landing on a heap of sand. Ava follows softly. Then, without further ask, she shoots his leg and walks over to the fallen man. He starts to beg for his family, but she doesn't care about them. He tells her that he would understand if she wants to drag out his suffering, but Ava is not that person. She has a plane to catch, remember? She points the gun at his head and asks him to count to 5. Then she shoots him on 1.
1.
She heads to Judy's house and asks to speak to Judy alone. She requests that she leaves with their mother and Michael to anywhere but Europe or the UK and stay low for a month or so. She gives them some money and the details to an offshore account loaded with money. Judy starts to calm her down, asking what is going on, but Ava insists that it is important. She hugs her and tells her to take care of the family, and her baby, and Michael. Michael hands her a parcel that came in for her, and she takes it and leaves. When Judy asks who she is, she replies that she is someone Judy's child should not know. The parcel ends up being a letter from Duke, saying that despite his end, he has never been happier. As Ava walks away, Simon's daughter stalks her, following at a safe distance. Her intentions are still unsure, but this off-the-field agent had better be careful with her in-the-field counterpart.